And Dorian Guitar Works backstage. Welcome back.
This is backstage. A guide
Read it.
look.
Read it. It's right there.
A
It's right
guided
there.
look at life experiences and the ways and means of the guitarist's journey. Last week we had a good conversation.
Introduce yourself, sir.
Oh, come on. People know who I am,
That's
right?
true. I'm Matt Ackerman.
I'm Brian McCoy.
Yeah.
Last week we had a great conversation with our friend Jim Farley. Tonight you might notice someone different here. You want to introduce our buddy?
Yes, this is Josh Calisti.
Hello. I didn't want to screw it up. So
Put that on.
Yeah,
me.
put it on me.
He's been practicing.
I made this big deal about not messing up people's names, so I wanted.
It's not a common name, so it's okay.
It's a good name.
Thanks.
So we
Welcome.
met. Yeah, welcome to our place, our
for having
secret fortress in the woods.
The Fortress of Solitude.
The Fortress of Solitude. We met Josh back at the Tacoma Guitar and Drum Show back in, was it April or May of this year?
April, I think.
Yeah.
First
I
week.
think because I think they moved it back a month because it was cooler. Because the year before, or 2 years prior, it was really hot in that arena in May or June. No, I think it was in May. The year
Was it May?
And then 2 years before, he had it in June.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was hot in there, man. But anyway.
Yeah.
No,
but
but
Tacoma Dome.
We met Josh. Brian and I were doing our rounds, and he had a really cool booth. He runs a company called Audiomanic Guitar, and went up and started talking. We were kind of trying to achieve some of the same things. And welcome, Josh, and maybe tell us a little about yourself. What you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Where should I start? I do guitar repair, and I do a little bit of retail with Audiomanic Guitar. I specialize in offsets with the Fenders mostly. I do everything else though, bass, electrics, you know the whole thing. I sell some pedals, so I started getting into that. I got a band here in Olympia, Waves Crashing. I'm from New Jersey. I spent a decade in Colorado, and then I moved out here about 3.5 years ago.
Right on.
And I just thought, I don't know what gave me the idea. I seriously think on a whim one day I was like, I'm going to do guitar repair on the side and see where it goes. And I didn't know how it was going to be received, but
here we are today.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as avid followers of the Instagram page, I'm impressed with the work that you're putting out, and you always seem to have a steady stream of work. And
thanks.
And I'm really impressed with how many offsets are actually out there in the community. Most times you see somebody pick up a Strat or a Telecaster, and I keep pointing over at something that's off screen here. Why don't you hand that to Josh? And let's talk offsets for a minute. So
they have grown in popularity in recent years. So
that's helped too. Talk to us about this guitar and what makes it special. Why do you have a passion for these guitars?
I really like the offset body, and an offset body is where the contours, you can see the contours are offset. They're not aligned straight like on a Strat or a Tele or a Les Paul. So the body is offset, which was created for jazz players actually to sit like this back in the 50s. But then obviously as modern guitar got more acclimated, people started playing here. But the curvature cut out here was great for the breastbone. People think it's a longer scale, but it's not. It's the same scale as a Strat. And I think what also set it apart was the pickups. Obviously these are not stock pickups, these are Lawlers, but traditionally they're single coil Alnico 2 or 5, and they just have a really chimey, bright, but a lot of low end. They're great for clean. They take pedals really well. I mean, they sound gnarly with fuzz. So, and Strats got single coils, even Teles do at times, and other guitars. I mean, or P90s. That's the other thing, the misconception is people think that jazzmasters have P90s in them. They're not. There are some models though, like the jazzmaster, a couple Mexican models where they look like single coils, but underneath they're actually disguised P90s.
Oh, wow, that's
so
cool.
You usually can tell by if this was a regular pull piece like your humbuckers over there.
Right.
You can tell. You can usually tell what's a P90 and what's a single coil.
Yeah.
Usually when you take it apart, you'll see like the two magnets added on the bottom of the P90.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. So for those of you not in the know, humbuckers have these two opposing magnets. They're two poles that are. We did a video on it, but they cancel the hum out, which is why they buck the hum, cancel the hum. But they have a very specific look to them.
Right. So yeah, so the noise canceling hum only happens in the middle position here. Just like a telly. If you had 2 single coils, you'll still have a little hum in the neck and the bridge alone. But they're just a unique guitar, and they sound great. And the vibrato is probably unique too, because it's like a floating, and then, it's just a different reaction than the Strat.
Mm-hmm.
So this vibrato system does have are there springs in the back to counteract
There's
it?
one spring under here.
There's one spring under it. Okay, so
it's vertical.
It's all within the bridge piece itself.
Yeah, so traditionally this is a mastery setup. So this is upgraded handmade hardware from Minnesota. But typically on a stock jazzmaster, the bridge would rock a little bit and move with the vibrato and the strings, which people like, but it can cause some issues with tuning stability.
Yeah.
So Mastery made these ones that feel really smooth, but stay in tune.
Okay.
And this bridge is locked pretty much. Like it's not going to sway. So you can do all, like Sonic Youth did all kinds of stuff playing behind the bridge with My Bloody Valentine would do the swells with it.
Yeah.
And they kind of developed like that as their
That's cool.
As
kind
their
of signature sound. Yeah.
And in the 80s and 90s, no one wanted anything to do with these guitars. You could find them in pawn shops for $300-$400.
I remember that.
The vintage ones you could probably get for $1,000 if you found like a 60s one, which is crazy now because they're like $9-10 grand. But they discontinued them in the late 70s, and then they didn't make an American one again until 1999. So if you found one floating around, it was likely a Japan one, because they started reissuing them in Japan in the mid 80s, and then they started to gain popularity, and then Fender and Corona decided to bring back an American vintage reissue series.
Cool.
This one's a Squire that was from like 2015. I like these models. They're very underrated.
I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about the Squire, because I see you work on a lot of Squires, and for those of us that played a lot in the 90s, Squire developed a name that some of us kind of wanted to stay away from.
The Squire was the cheaper model.
Even the name Squire sort of implies that it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not the case here.
They're all hit or miss, depending on the see.
Okay.
You had Vintage Modified series. You had, what was that one? Vista series in the 90s, which were made in Japan, crafted in Japan. Those are awesome. The necks on the maple necks on them are great. The rosewood's great. The craftsmanship, it depends on like what factory it was made and who was doing the quality control. And sometimes you get a really good Fender, just a different label on it, and sometimes you don't. Right. So this particular Vintage Modified series is from like 2011 to 2016-ish, and this is the last series they actually put rosewood on before they switched to Indian Laurel.
Okay.
Indian Laurel's not bad. It's just the way that they seated the frets, the way that they just like did the nuts. It's just they don't do it like that now. So if I find these used and then I just upgrade them, I'll put Lawlers in them, Mastery. I'll put 500K pots like CTS pots or Dunlop Super pots. I'll put a better capacitor in there. This one's got a treble bleed on it. I'll usually keep the stock wiring and switches unless I see there's an issue and I want to replace it, because I'll make it all neat and snug in there, so there shouldn't be any problems. And then like I'll put a different pickguard on it, like I like the all white aesthetic, and then I'll sand the neck down and get that so it's more like a satin feel, because that heavy gloss, I'm not a fan of the heavy gloss. Some people like it though. And then like even then like the tuners are fine. That the guitar stays in tune. I've played shows with this guitar, and you can notice how like dark the rosewood is. I've only oiled this a couple times, and it just soaked it right in. I'm a big fan of like rosewood that just like grabs that oil, which is why I don't like that Paul Ferro, the newer woods that Fender's putting on. Some of the, I feel like when you oil the guitar up, like the oil just beads off. It like doesn't soak into the wood. Have you ever experienced that?
Once or twice, but yeah.
Like
no, when you went on it like you're describing, when you have the neck that does want to soak it up, like you put the oil on it, and it's boom. It's like
then the wood is enriched.
Yeah.
And it stays healthier longer, and that's only going to be better for your frets.
Right.
Because you don't want the wood to shrink. And then
that's when your frets come out.
Fret spout, and then you're going to have gaps, or maybe some frets might pop out a little bit, and then you've got to do hammerman or do a fret level or whatever the case may be. But I'm a big fan of like keeping your fretboard
Yeah.
oiled, man.
The neck makes
It's a
or
good
breaks
reminder.
the guitar. Yeah.
It
It's a great
does.
reminder.
If you
Oil
haven't
your
oiled your
frets.
guitar or your fretboard, go oil it right after the show.
Every
Yeah.
string change, I take all the strings off.
Yep.
I oil the board. Even here, we're in a humid climate for the most part,
Mhm.
dry summer. But, I mean, the dead of Olympia winter, I still oil the board.
Yeah.
So
Zach, thank you. Squire or not, it still looks way nice.
Yeah.
thank
and
you.
happy Tuesday.
You know, we hear the comments, the Squier versus Fender and Epiphone versus Gibson. You know, we've heard like similar quality control issues with Epiphone and Gibson for a while. For a
Right.
while at least. I don't
Right.
know, but you know, you could go
Unless
and
you're
pick,
talking a vintage Epiphone,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
some of the older ones are pretty nice. Yeah.
but you could walk into a store and pull two Les Paul standards off the wall, and they'd feel completely different. And
Mhm.
Epiphones may not have been held to the same quality as Gibson was supposed to be holding themselves to, but you could take two Epiphones and they were at least consistent. Like
Right.
they were, and you know, it's all what factory, who was the person working on it, what day of the week. You know,
It's true, really.
it's I don't know. I guess the point is pick up the instrument and play it. Don't
Right.
just judge it because it's got a label on it.
No, it's totally true. I mean, like you said, but they're mostly made of wood,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not always going to be cut the same.
Right.
And, you know, I have a custom shop Fender and I have a Squier, and they're both great in their own ways. But like, if you're like, hey, would you rather have all the money back for the custom shop and
Mhm.
keep the Squier, or would you rather have the custom shop and like just sell the Squier for $1,000 or whatever? I'd like rather have the Squier and take the money back for the custom shop, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because you know I feel like there's more value in it. Because I'll build these and I'll sell these for $1,200,
Right.
Right.
and I've sold a couple, and people will see the value
Yeah.
because they'll play it and they'll their expectations will be totally floored.
Mhm.
And then there's some people that won't even like look at it because they
Because
judge
it's a
they,
Squier.
they
It's a
judge
Squier.
on the name and they're
Yeah.
like I'm not paying that much for a Squier. I'm like, well, you're not paying just for the Squier. You're paying for all the high grade components. I mean,
Yeah.
these are $400 pickups, $300 in hardware.
Well, I mean, you think about
Yeah,
it too.
you know, it's like adds up.
First Act, right? Everybody knows First Act.
First act.
Like
Yeah.
the cheapest goddamn guitar you can get. So Matt Pike from High on Fire plays a 9-string, so it's strung double string like a 12 on the top, the low end strings,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and then the higher end strings are single. It's a fucking First Act custom, and he kills it for High on Fire with that. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, it doesn't matter the name that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can have a great guitar that's a lower end name
Yep.
brand.
Some
Yeah.
people that's important though. That the name is important
Yeah,
to some people,
yeah.
and I understand. that.
I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
play a fucking Gibson Explorer. It's a 1986,
Oh, that's cool.
so
Sweet.
it was made in Memphis, I think, Nashville, where their Tennessee plant.
Yeah.
Someone taught me how to read the
Serial.
number when I got it, so I could tell the year, the month, and the plant.
That's what's cool about their serials is you can decode it
Yeah.
and figure
Yeah.
out. Fender doesn't do that.
No,
It's like pretty random.
but then I have a Mexican-made P bass, and from the '80s. So Scott Campbell loves his
He
Epiphone.
loves his Epiphone.
Um,
I worked on his Epiphone last week, and it's a nice Epiphone.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a loud Epiphone now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Some of the older casino ones are really nice. Yeah.
I had people telling me that my Mexican P bass was because of the year that it was made. Right,
Yeah.
it's better than even some American made,
Mm-hmm.
which
I don't
and
doubt that.
they're highly sought after. So I had no idea. I mean, I got it off some dude for like $30.
I really think
Yeah.
I really think it's series dependent.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how it works at these companies. Their production team, project managers, when they're like getting ready, like we're gonna do these 5 reissues in this series, and they're gonna have these woods and these features, and sometimes it comes together, and then sometimes it just doesn't,
Right.
and the guitar feels cheap, and it doesn't resonate, and obviously like every guitar, even a custom shop, even the best guitars in the world, they need to be set up,
Mm-hmm.
even right from the factory.
Right.
They're never set up. They're in shipping. They're in a box for a while. They're in a truck for a while.
Right.
Like they all need to be set up. And I think that people grab a guitar off a Guitar Center's wall, and they'll sit down and play for a 2nd, and it's not set up and it feels like crap. And I'm like, oh, this guitar sucks.
Yeah.
And really, just companies lack. I mean, I get it. You can't really set up all these guitars and then ship them all over the world because they're gonna get all messed up.
Right.
And then the setup was worthless. It was a waste of labor.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I
That's-
get that, but yeah.
That's one of the things that's always like really perplexed me about like businesses like Sweetwater. Like I think I've heard lots of opinions on Sweetwater.
The
but
inspection, the evaluations, all
the
that.
inspections and the valuation, but like I think Sweetwater, I think, is doing their job way better than like Guitar Center is doing theirs. All the way down to the way they treat you. And this is, of course, opinion and not fact, and so make your own judgments. But ultimately, when you buy a guitar from Sweetwater, you're buying a guitar. I mean, you know exactly which guitar. The picture online is the picture of the guitar that you're going to buy.
I like that.
With
I like that they do that. Yeah.
You're going if it's a guitar with a burst on it or a satin finish, that that's the grain of the guitar. That's
sometimes it
show
varies,
up.
yeah. And the weight
but you
too.
still, yeah.
The weight's important.
But you are still buying a guitar that you haven't touched yet. That you haven't made that connection. Has it been? How well has it been set up? You're not walking out you could walk into another store and say it's been set up, but you want it tweaked just a bit. You can have that done before you walk out the store with it. But when you buy a guitar online, you're really trusting that that's been done to your needs, whatever your specs.
So if any of you guys are in Olympia, you've got a couple guys here that know how to do that kind of stuff.
Scott asks, what made you want to get into guitar repair?
Oh.
You mentioned earlier that the switch flipped, but what was it?
Well, I've always set up my own guitars. Even I'm 38, and I think even in my early 20s, I never took a guitar in for a setup. I took a guitar in for like a nut repair or like a pickup swap because I didn't know how to do that back then. But and I always like set up my bandmates' guitars, friends, and I was like, I should just like get better at it and learn more about it and then start doing more detailed stuff. And I was like, maybe I could retire someday and like just kind of like not fully retire and just be like a guitar guy. And then I thought, oh, would it be cool to like leave the day job behind and like grow the business and like be in my main career. That's a dream. I also like to keep busy. I don't like having an idle mind.
Yeah.
So I just thought, it also being new in the area, I thought it'd be a cool way to meet other musicians and like getting more involved in the community, because I didn't want to. I saw some of the prices of some of the places like in Seattle that were charging for like setups and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, wow, some that's pretty high. And I was like, well, some of these musicians like, they're working at restaurants, and then like COVID happened, and I thought, well, maybe I could do like quick turnaround setups for people at like half the price, and then like these musicians could like come out of COVID and get back to touring and playing shows, and maybe I could meet some people along the way. So that was kind of the thinking.
And so that obviously that must have happened.
It did, yeah.
You're in a band, waves crashing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your band?
Yeah, 4-piece. Alternative at the top, I'd say. All derivative of like 80s, 90s, shoegaze, new wave, sprinkle a little grunge in there too. Anything from The Cure to New Order to the Smashing Pumpkins to the Pixies to the Smiths.
Now I really wish I'd come out to the Oli Block Party last week. You played that show, right?
Yeah, we opened the Saturday.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
That was probably the biggest show, most important show I ever played yet. So it was a cool moment.
Right on. New plan is to just bring any guitars to Josh first thing. Zach Olsen.
Zach's a good dude.
Friend of yours, I take it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we have people watching. That's awesome. It's good to see people popping in the live
Zach is
chat.
also an incredible guitar player.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Zach, to the community.
What's up, buddy? But yeah, you guys should have came to a block party. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, I found, you're talking about the prices for setups.
I was giving away tickets too. You should have.
What? Oh, I think we were. I don't remember why we went there. But,
okay.
I don't remember either.
What
I
am I?
can't. No. I was just thinking you're talking about. Well, so those of you watching, Josh and I, we there's some overlap in what we do, which is one of the reasons why you might say why is he Matt? You've got guitar repair. Why is Josh? I'm like, well, because I don't believe that you can cut each other down. Like I don't believe that helping somebody is going to put you out of business, and I want to see people go to his business too. But like what you're talking about setting prices, that's something I really struggled with too. Because it's all over the map. This guy's charging this for a setup, this guy's charging this for a setup, and ultimately I just went to a point where I just had to, what I believed was fair, and it's probably a little lower than, or I don't know. I mean, like sometimes one service is lower than another's, and another one of your services is higher than another's, and it's really just like,
well, how much time? How
much time, and where is it fitting in the schedule, and then. I have a rule that I pretty much live by, which is I will always do the job for whatever I say I do the job for, but if I can do a little bit more, I will, just always give the extra punch. But it's a wild business to be in, setting your prices, getting the people to come in the door. And
I think it depends on your reputation.
Yeah.
For me, I was starting up, so I had no reviews.
Right.
So I started low, and I think that was fair. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed as a year went by, because now I've been doing a year and a half, how much time it takes.
Yeah.
All right, it's this has got to be worth my time to do this, because time is precious. Yeah. Especially if it feels like I have 3 jobs, so it's I got to make this worthwhile. And I know I'm not, I'm not Brady Anderson, who's amazing, by the way, an incredible person. And then I know I'm not Joe Riggio, or how's he say his name? Is that in Tacoma? Joe Riggio? Yeah. And he does excellent refins on guitar bodies too. He does relics and all that stuff. And there's some guys in Seattle that are really they've been in the business a long time. And if you've been doing it a long time and you got that clientele, then you deserve to charge that much. And if people want that from you, then cool. Yeah. But the kid that's 22 that needs a Strat restrung, and a mild setup, is not going to pay $125 for a setup.
Negative.
Right.
They need that money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's something actually we were kind of talking about earlier with.
We were a couple times. Which one are you thinking about actually?
Coworker of mine.
Oh right. Yeah.
Some people have to take some time to build up that money to be able to spend on.
Yeah.
Their guitar.
And I've worked with people too about hey, what can you afford?
And prioritize the service. If this is the setup, well, what if we can strip it down and give you the most important elements and save you some money?
Yeah, but honestly, obviously, it's not my main job, so I'm not forced to charge them the max.
Right.
So it's a little unfair. I can get that aspect. It was oh Josh, this is not your main gig, so you're not relying on it to pay your rent. And I'm well, it helps, obviously, it helps a lot of things, but obviously the pressure's not as on, so I don't have to go out there and say, I don't, turn people away if they don't give me X amount of dollars for whatever service.
Right.
I'll work with someone because we both want to meet that end goal.
Yeah.
So Scott says that we were talking about him, and life is expensive.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. It's very true. It is expensive, especially nowadays. Right, things are a lot more expensive than they once were.
I know, it's crazy.
So,
I discovered recently, and it might have just hit me now, is that we all have so much time in our daily lives, right? Everyone's got a skill, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're just trading skills.
Yeah.
Because we don't have all the time in the world to learn every skill.
Right.
So if you got your buddy is an HVAC guy, you're paying him to do your HVAC, and he's a guitar guy. You're paying him to fix your guitar. You're paying him to fix him or her to fix your guitar, your car, your house, whatever. And it's just if everyone just kind of masters something, and then we just if you think about it on that basic level, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you could completely exist in a bartering mentality, and everyone could be happy. It's a great concept. We're trading skills.
Yeah, 100%. Get out of that capitalist mindset of only needing money, because money's not tangible. We think it is, but it's really not.
No. And then as soon as you get it, it's gone.
Right. Exactly.
So it's not even in your electrical wallet. your electric
Yeah.
wallet or
Yeah.
cloud wallet for a while.
Yeah. You used to have the satisfaction of cashing the check and watching it go away. Now it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You just watch the screen as the numbers dwindle down to nothing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So I was going to ask you, no, I saw on your webpage that, so you've been playing for about 23 years, right? Or,
Yeah, it's like 14-ish, I think.
And you came out, you started on the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and you did some time in Colorado, and then ended up in PNW.
And by the way,
Yeah.
did some time doesn't mean jail.
Did some time.
I didn't go to jail.
He spent some time.
Spent some time. It's
It
probably
did sound like that, didn't it?
Dun,
You
dun,
did
dun,
some
dun,
time.
dun, dun. Wrote a couple tunes about trains.
But hey, if
Maybe
you
full
did,
some prison.
if you did spend time in Colorado, no judgment.
No
Yeah.
judgment. No judgment. We want to hear from you.
Whether you did time or spent time.
Yeah,
Either
did time.
way,
If you did time in Colorado, no
That's
judgment.
good.
But so what was the like? Did you know that you were going to end up in Olympia, or did you kind of go on a voyage? And how did music play a role in where you ended up where you wanted to end up?
I was in a bunch of bands back east. Playing mostly around the Philadelphia area. A punk rock band I played bass in for a while, and then just like this indie rock band that was all over the place. Every song sounded like a different band.
Mm-hmm.
No cohesiveness, but it was fun.
It's fun, but hard to book, I imagine.
Well, yeah, because no one knew what to call you.
Yeah.
You had one song that sounded like this band, and one song that sounded like this band, and like we had 5 people in the band that had all different influences, so that kind of like.
Gets a little muddy.
Yeah, I didn't like it because it's like if we ever did an album, it's like, but then people, so there's always argument. Oh, it's kind of cool to have this variety on an album. You gotta have some sort of cohesiveness sonically.
Yeah.
You don't sound like a band if you don't have that cohesion.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of common element, some theme going on
Yeah.
sonically to like make you identifiable. But I went to school for audio engineering in New York, and then I got an internship, and then like 2007 happened, like everyone got laid off. And then I couldn't really find a job, and then my buddy moved to Colorado, so I visited out there, and I was like, oh, Colorado's great. There's more jobs here, and the housing was cheaper, so I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
Lived there for like 9 years. Was in a band there called Stereo Shifter. We were a duo, mostly a duo. That was more like alt rock, just more like a little more aggressive
Mm-hmm.
than like wave scratching is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing like, I had 2 outputs on my guitar. I installed a bass pickup,
Nice.
and I run to octave pedal to a bass amp.
Nice.
I was limited because I had to keep rhythm all the time.
Yeah.
But the songs were just like these poppy rock, moody kind of songs, and I tried to just keep it thick sounding because we didn't have a bass player. Really, we did that because we just wanted to keep it 2 guys and keep it simple
Mm-hmm.
for booking, schedules.
Yeah.
And then a couple times we added like a friend would play bass for like 6 months, and then we go back to being a duo and whatever. But so then some personal life stuff happened in Colorado, and then
Yeah.
I took a job out here and just wanted to change. And I always knew I loved the Pacific Northwest because I got family in Oregon, so I go to Portland
Cool.
every now and then.
Yeah.
Right on.
And actually, before I moved to Denver, I was like, I got a job at Guitar Center. 2 days I was in Denver. I got hired on the spot at Guitar Center.
Nice.
I had no job. I moved there with no job.
Nice.
And then, but I was really thinking about just going straight to Portland and working for Guitar Center there.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I have a cousin there. It'd be easier. But for some reason, it ended up being Colorado, and then I moved here, which is great because I'm totally happy here. I feel like
Yeah.
I belong here. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Right
That
on.
sort of thing.
I've heard that's actually one of the cool things about Guitar Center, because they're not, I mean, every company's got good and bad things, right?
Yeah.
And Guitar Center's a staple.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've heard from several people is that if you're trying to figure out where you want to live, they're really good about, like, if you're employed by them, they're really good about helping you transfer.
I
and
have
find
heard
a
that.
different place in the I got
Yeah.
a good buddy who started off in the downtown Seattle Guitar Center, and he knew that he wanted to go live in the Nashville scene for a while and play in 17 different bands, and
Yeah.
they made sure he had a job.
That's cool.
So
I have a
it's
friend
wild.
who's a manager for one in Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
he's been in a touring band for like 25 years. So
Yeah.
whenever they tour, they're always like, cool, okay,
Yeah.
you take off for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they may be a corporate giant, but it sounds like they've got.
But I didn't really have a good experience working there though. I
Oh,
did
okay.
that for a year, and it's before they changed their sales structure.
Mm-hmm.
You were 100% commission.
Oh,
So that is rough.
yeah.
And
no
everyone's like, on your days off, like people were stealing your customers
shit. Oh, for
and
sure.
your like and your deals like that are stored
Yeah.
in your computer. Like you might be working on like a big ticket with someone, and like you come back from your day off and you realize that like one of your other guys did the sale.
Snake the sleeve.
And it's just snaked it, and then the
That's
manager holds no accountability. He's like, "Oh, just you guys work it out yourself."
Oh,
That's the culture at Guitar Center. Now I've
Yeah,
heard
that's
now that they
terrible.
have more of like a team percentage
Yeah.
how they do sales. I also hear it's really bad. It was really bad for women to work there
Okay.
in sales. It was not a good situation. I hope it got better. For
That's
now,
not
but
good.
so,
well, one of the downfalls of major corporate.
well, yeah, it's the male dominant industry. You know,
Yeah.
that's another issue, but it's getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah, I've actually been noticing a lot of stuff on social media about like the best women in music and in guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, sales and women have gone up
yeah,
for sure.
like the gal playing for Alice Cooper,
Mhm.
who just recently
Oh,
left to go play with somebody else, and now they got another gal playing for Alice Cooper,
Oh,
and they both just shred.
Hurricane.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just
Yeah.
can't remember the name.
Yeah,
Hurricane Lita? No. Nita Strauss.
I don't recall either of their names, but they're both fucking killer. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
they
I
shred.
follow them, and they shred.
Yeah,
Monsters. I just
Oh, it's-
can't remember the name.
it's
which
ridiculous.
Makes me
So-
a dick, but
the whole scene I think is really changing, waking up to that.
yeah.
Mhm. I think the other thing about Guitar Center too is they changed a lot when whoever owns Burger King and all those stores, it's like one big conglomerate.
Yeah.
They bought Guitar
It's like
Center.
Procter and Gamble or something.
Yeah,
like that.
in like 2010, and they owned like Toys R Us and all that. And when that happened, there was a major shift in their inventory too.
Yeah.
Because remember how like Guitar Centers like one region would have like Orange, and one would have Mesa Boogie, and one would have like this
Yeah.
and this company. Like, oh cool, like there would be like variety. As soon as like the big company bought it, they standardized all the inventory,
Yeah.
which I guess makes sense when the market changed.
It's
like
Yeah.
easier as a business to deal with inventory that's standardized over multiple areas, but it definitely doesn't lend to the cool factor of being able to find different things for different
Right.
niches in your area.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's kind of different now is the Hollywood store has some, because they have a big vintage section.
Right. It's
But,
the
like,
Hollywood story.
Yeah, but anyway, that's just big ticket stores, big market stores.
Yeah.
So you went to school, degree in audio production.
There's like a tech school, SAE.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that, you must have had an idea of the direction that you wanted to go.
Hmm.
And here we are, and everyone's got Logic Pro on their computers.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have thoughts about this.
I wanted to be a mastering engineer. That's
Okay.
what I wanted to be.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when I got that internship right out of school, it was from this company called True Tone.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a mastering studio, and they did like Mark Anthony, and like they did like Who
Yeah.
Let the Dogs Out, and like
Yeah.
like some pop stuff, a lot of like Latin stuff. And I was like, that's cool, like they got a good engineer and they got a good room, and I was like, I want to learn on some real gear. I ended up doing like administrative stuff. I was account manager for their duplication department, so I was working on like CD sleeve designs, duplication, discs, and like for short runs,
Right.
which is cool because like we do one for like Nikki Sixx, we do one for Puff Daddy, MTV. I worked in the building where Puff Daddy was on the second floor. Like that was kind of cool to be in the fashion district of Manhattan and like be 2 blocks from Times Square, and like, but I was commuting from Jersey, so I was taking 2 hours each way. I was doing that 5 days a week. I was going 2 hours there and 2 hours back. But I was trying to like hustle and like
Mhm.
get to what I wanted to be.
That's what you do, right?
That's what
That's
you
what
do.
we're told you have to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I had a husband and wife owned the place, and they were micromanagers like to the ceiling, and so that was tough. And like and then sales started going down. All the studios started to close up in New York City. Like 85% of studios closed, and then they sold it to Sony Music Entertainment, and then they sold the duplication to disc makers. And disc makers
okay.
is run out of New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I decided not to go with disc makers, like, because they want to, take the employees.
Right.
Because I got tired of commuting that far. And I couldn't afford to live anywhere near New York on that type of salary.
I don't imagine.
So that kind of like, I know I'm talking so much.
No,
That's what it's for.
We're here for.
That kind of like initiated like the big wave to be like, you gotta go move and make your life happen somewhere else, because it's not gonna happen here.
Right.
And I went to Colorado and I fell in love with it, and I was like, oh, it's sunny here, it's dry. And I came back home. I was still living with my parents, and I'm like, I'm moving there in 6 months, and everyone was like, no, you're not. You're just talking.
Yeah.
I moved 6 months to the day. I left in January. I like visited in August. Is my math right? Anyway, yeah. And I made it happen, because I sold half my gear. I like saved up all this money, and I just moved out there. Really on a whim. You know, everyone's got that moment in life where they gotta take a risk, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Like, you just gotta take that leap, and if you fall flat in your face, it's all right.
You'll get up.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Right.
So.
Cheers.
Yeah. Not to like pat myself on the back, but.
No, you should pat yourself on the back. That's absolutely.
It takes balls to make a move like that and be successful at it. I mean,
yeah, somewhat. So now when a younger person I come across is in that moment, I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
I'm always like trying to give them positive reinforcement. Like, if you feel like you need to go do this, you just go do it. Like, you got the rest of your life to figure it out. You'll be all right.
Yeah, there's a big difference between like floundering and trying to figure out what you want to do, and having this big pie in the sky idea and the drive to go do it. You know.
Thanks.
I was thinking, you know, when I took my leap, and this isn't supposed to be about me, but I was thinking how much easier it would have been to do it when there wasn't as much like overhead. You know, like I had the same drive then as I do now, it would have been easier to like live being broke longer. Like, we were already broke. We were young. We didn't have any money. We had crappy jobs.
I think it's the confidence factor.
It's the confidence factor. Yeah.
That just comes with age.
If you find that younger person that is ready to do it now, and it's not just, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, but I have this thing, I want to go do it, then everybody who like, every person that it's in that person's life that's meaningful to that person should be rallying around them, saying, then go do it. Then go do it.
Yeah. I had a similar thing at one point in my life, and I didn't really jump in head first like I should have. I feel like at this point in my life, looking back, my brother and I had a record label we tried to start. Put out some records and like actual vinyl.
Cool.
Some CDs.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did 9 releases in total, or 10 releases. But we didn't have the capital. And I mean, really, being a record label, you're like a glorified bank for musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So that was difficult. The bands we were working with broke up like while we were putting out their records, and then we also, my brother and I, had day jobs, and so we didn't have the time to put into it without considering quitting our day jobs, and neither of us wanted to do that. So I kind of feel like if I were to do it again at that point in time, knowing what I know now, I would have quit my day job and jumped in, regardless of whether my brother would have joined me or not.
That's
fingers crossed it would have worked out.
That's what I kind of struggle with right now. Is like, because, you know, not to get too in the weeds, but like, if you're doing a band, if you're doing art, and you got a day job, and you got two things, there comes a point where like the part-time thing could fill up your whole week.
Oh yeah.
There's all this work you're doing, and there's some money coming in, and you're growing, you know, at a decent rate, steady rate. Not like you're blowing up, but like there has to come a time where you're like, I have to either invest more in this time and like give it everything so it can grow, or I shut it down and pull my focus more back on the day job. Because that's what I struggle with now, is like the day job might be suffering a little bit because this that I have full passion for is growing and I'm working really hard at it. And so it's like, at what point do you take that leap of saying, I'm going to dive into the pool and go full time with whatever the project may be, and then say goodbye to that security of that day job.
And that's the thing. It's the security that you
Yeah.
have, right?
And that's really difficult because you have to have enough savings, obviously. You have to have a plan and all this, that all that stuff that goes along with it. But like, I feel like if you without capital, like you mentioned, it's really risky. Even though you could be a good product, you could be a good worker, good idea, you could still fail because you don't have that capital.
Yep.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's what it comes down to, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. I mean, we make what happens happen. We do what we can with what we have, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to make your ends meet too. So you have to, and so like at our age, it's more difficult. We have families, we have
homes, whatever.
The necessity of that security. When we were younger, maybe it would have been a lot easier, like you're saying, to dive in head first.
Yeah.
So.
But I think the important thing is that you keep revisiting those questions. I think what a lot of people like, maybe there will be, like for you, there will be a day, but if you say like, I think so many people like, oh, I want to quit my day job and do my side hustle because I can't grow my side hustle when I'm shackled to my day job, and that's a very real thing. Like, that's what it was for me too. I realized that I couldn't meet my customer on my schedule. I needed to meet my customer on their schedule, and if I'm busy working this schedule, then I'm going to lose my customer. There's no way I could do this, and it was like, well, okay. But the number of times I had to revisit that conversation until the moment it made sense and it was right. So like, don't like, if it's not right, that doesn't mean that the conversation's over and that you're never going to have it again. It means that like revisit it in 3 months, revisit it in 6 months, a year, keep coming back to it because eventually it's going to make sense.
Yeah, and when I focus on something, I'm honest with them, I get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And then I tend to put the cart before the horse a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I know that, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like you're doing an awesome job right now, kind of balancing things as it were right at the moment. So.
It's a lot of.
I
struggle. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
I get a little overwhelmed sometimes trying to do both. I mean, to be frank.
Yeah, I don't.
I enjoy seeing what you're posting on Instagram. I've been following you since I met you. It does look successful. Like, I love seeing the instruments that you have coming across your bench. The variety. I mean, there's a lot of offsets, but there is a variety. There are solid.
There's been tons of Gibsons and
the things that you're selling. When you do take a Squire, and I see that you've sold it, and I see what you sell it for on Reverb, I'm like, damn, that was a win for this guy. You're doing big stuff, and it's
barely
really
any
cool.
profit on it though. But I'm just trying to get it out there.
Every time you get it out there, you're creating a piece of marketing for yourself.
Which to get back to another point earlier, talking about getting the reviews and everything.
Right.
If you have work done, review it. Especially for these guys.
That's helpful.
These guys are newer in the scene, especially around here. So let people know that you're getting good service.
I follow up with people too, and if they're not happy with the guitar, I tell them bring it back. I'll do whatever it is for free to make it right.
Yep.
And things can happen.
Yeah.
Only human, or weather changes, or I always tell people if your guitar goes out of whack within 2 weeks, I will reset it up for nothing.
Yeah.
In that 2 week
should last
in that 2 week window. Because what if I set up the guitar in April and it rained like shit, and then it dried up real quick? Like, it's possible the neck could have bowed or straightened.
If you had a guitar set up in New Mexico and then moved to Brazil the next day, chances are there's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So I always leave that possibility open because the slightest movement could cause some string buzz.
Yeah.
And then it just needs a little tweak. Yeah. And that's all it needs. But I mean, the reviews help big time. I don't know. I always text them and be like, hey, how's the guitar doing? And if it's if it's good response and they're happy, and I'm like, hey, if you have a moment, leave the review, no pressure. If they're like, oh, something's kind of weird, I'm like, hey, bring it back whenever you can.
Yep.
Well, and that review is not just for other people to know how good a service that you gave, or if it wasn't good for them, but it's for you guys, right? It's feedback.
Yeah.
So let's these guys know if something needs to be fixed or changed. in how they do the
Yeah,
job.
or
So
if we
leave
could-
those reviews.
If we could do something better, yeah.
Yeah,
Improve
exactly.
on something.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I struggle with when I try to convey to people, like, I want your review if it's a good review, not because I don't want a bad review,
Right.
but because I don't want this to be done until you're happy.
Right.
That's a
Like-
good point.
Like
yeah.
that's like, this isn't about, oh, this was a shitty experience and then our relationship is severed. This is about, I want you satisfied. If you're not satisfied, fine, give me the 1-star review. But I really want you at a 5, and I will earn that
Yeah.
5.
But I'll take the 1. Just
Yeah.
give me a chance to fix it first.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
Like
go.
to rectify it.
Yeah,
Like if we
exactly.
can't rectify it and then like the bridge is broken,
Yep.
then leave the bad review.
Yep.
But like give me that opportunity
Yep.
to do right by you.
Yep.
But if you don't give me that opportunity and you leave me a bad review, I feel like it's a little unfair.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
entirely.
100%, man. 100%.
So speaking of successes in your shop,
Yeah.
you were talking with us about some pedals.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you share with us a little bit about your pedals that you're selling right now?
Yeah, so it's funny because I remember I had a customer like really early on when I was starting, and he ended up moving to Arizona, nice guy, but he was like, I think he was moving, and he was like, oh, you want to take some stuff of mine on consignment, and like, because I can't take it with me, and then just give me a piece of it later. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to take all of it. I don't really want to turn it into a shop.
Right.
And he's like, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sell 5 or 6 pedal companies now, and cables, and I got the strings because I know I'm going to use them
Yeah.
for like setups.
You're gonna be
So yeah, DR is one of the ones I
DRs.
carry.
I've never played DRs before, and I'm going to try these out.
So they're made in Jersey, which is coincidental.
Coincidental.
Well, they say New York, but it's in Jersey.
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah,
problem I
that's-
have.
Yeah.
Is that like Jersey doesn't get their fair share of notoriety because it's so close to New York, even though it might be like 30 miles away in Jersey. It's like, oh, we're in New York. No, the New York Giants play in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So do the Jets. Should be the Jersey Jets. I'll just little rant there.
Do you really want to claim either one of those teams?
No,
right
I'm a
now?
Philadelphia Eagles fan. But like,
Just saying.
not a principle though. But DR is cool. They're all hands.
So we have an
down.
Eagles, a Seahawks, and a Bears by marriage sitting on the
Yeah.
same couch together. This is
That's okay.
That's
There's
fine.
not really any true conflict between those teams.
this really not.
Except for they're
That's
all
really
NFC.
The Fog
so they
Bowl
might-
though in the 80s
might-
and the Bears.
They might meet in the playoffs.
not. Yeah.
Well, not
Maybe.
this year.
Yeah, I think the Eagles might be in the playoffs.
This is a music podcast.
Yeah. Sorry. No, we can start a sports
Hey,
radio.
it's almost football season.
We
Okay,
can
I'm
start
getting geared up.
We can start a sports radio. I'm
Beer
down with
and
that.
chips. Beer
Yeah,
and
beer and
chips.
chips.
Yeah.
But you were sharing with us, obviously you've got strings and pedals and other things. You're sharing
Yeah.
with us a specific pedal.
Oh yeah. Should I grab it?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're
do.
Oh, you're gonna put it on
this.
the
We have.
Boom.
Oh,
there
wow,
it
that's
is.
fancy.
Look at that.
So I'm a Keeley dealer. Keeley Electronics is a really cool pedal company in Oklahoma City. Started by Robert Keeley. He started out being like a boutique builder, and then it grew into a company. But they still have that boutique feel as a company. That's why I like them. They're not like I shouldn't talk bad about anyone. Never mind. I've already done enough of that. The Realizer is an ambient reverb pedal modeled after some really sought-after 80s rack mount reverbs by Alesis. I say Alesis. Some people say Alesis.
I heard
Alesis.
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 Yeah.
All right, maybe I've been saying it wrong. all
I
these
don't
years.
know. I
we
think
might be too.
We might too. It's Ali sauce. I don't know.
Elsis.
Okay.
And some
In
Yamaha.
the chat, how do you say?
Alesis. Alesis or Alesis?
Yep. That's somebody look
That's
it up.
That's a good
Google
question.
it. Enduring
Google
Guitar Works
pronunciation.
backstage trivia. The winner will get a hat
And a pack of strings.
and a pack of
And a pack
strings.
of strings. There you go.
Cool.
And Yamaha gear. So they kind of Keeley made this pedal that was based on shoegaze music. So like the middle setting is reverse reverb, and not only is it a reverse reverb, but it simulates the vibrato on the
cool.
jazzmaster
Cool.
that My Bloody Valentine did. So it plays the reverb back and reverse, but it also does a swell like the with the reverse.
One more time. Very
It plays
nice.
with the reverb, so it kind of gives that effect if you don't have a vibrato. It's a play on a My Bloody Valentine Loveless record.
Cool.
The Hall has a shimmer. Anyway, it's just a cool ambient reverb pedal, and it's got my logo on it, and it's got a custom color and design that I worked with Keeley.
Alessis.
Alessis.
So I have been saying it wrong.
Well, that's just
I
how
don't
Zach
know.
says it.
That's the way.
Well,
Zach
Zach's
says
probably
it.
right. He's a smart guy.
He's probably right. I don't know Zach, but I know he's a badass guitar player, and he's left us 3 pieces of feedback, so I like him already.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm noticing on this particular realizer, the bottom right corner has your logo on.
It does.
So that's
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
your
So this is an
pedal.
exclusive color.
Okay.
We did this like powder blue with a fade purple, and then it matched our logo with the trim and the
Nice.
clear knobs. So that was all developed with the design team at Keeley.
That's pretty cool.
And on the back end, it's got 2 dip switches for if you want to drive it in full wet. So have full wet signal,
Mhm.
no dry signal, which you can get really crazy with.
Mhm.
And the trails are bypass. I like the trails. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Mm-mm.
So like if you leave it in bypass, then if you like ring out a chord and you like disengage the pedal, the
Then it
signal
does
and
off.
the sound will cut. But if I leave the trails on, even though I turn off the pedal, that ring, that decay
Mhm.
will still linger until it fully decays.
Which is really what you would want in a reverb pedal because it's decaying out.
Well, yeah, and depending on where you place it in your board, you
Yeah.
might want true bypass, because if it's trails, then it's going to be buffered.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
there might
yeah.
be sometimes it doesn't matter. Like on my board right now, it doesn't matter because I have it going through its own loop. I have a little loop switcher, so it doesn't really matter.
Loop
So,
switcher.
So
Zach,
I do a loop switcher so I can when we're playing live. There's a lot of times I have two effects on, and I
Yeah.
need to turn both off at the same time
Uh-huh.
and turn on another,
Nice.
so I can do it with one
Okay.
one tap instead of trying to dance out on the
Cool.
So Zach has gone and Googled it. Says Google says Alesis. Only one sus.
Alesis.
Alesis.
So how I was saying.
So how we were, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
All
Well,
right.
I'm gonna give myself a hat. No, we're gonna send Zach a hat because
Zach
Zach
will get a hat.
Zach googled it.
Alesis. That's interesting.
It's all good, man.
And yes, it does look. This is a great looking pedal, just like.
It
Are they
is a
still a
great-
company? Because I know they made some cheap drum machines for a
Oh
while.
yeah, they make computers.
Oh,
What?
Alesis, yeah, they
You
make
think about
gaming
Asus?
gaming
Asus.
computers.
It's Asus.
Oh yeah, you're right. Fucking no. Okay, so
Acer.
Acer
Acer.
is the cheap computer.
Alesis,
No.
no,
is the
Alesis
gaming-
still,
Oh, that's
they
right.
still
Yeah,
do
yeah.
like
They make the chips,
boards.
right?
Yes, they do
Yeah.
make boards.
They make boards and shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do they make F holes or
No.
cutaways?
No. Kiss my ass. I was having
It
a
looks
moment.
great. Thanks, Zach.
That is a good looking pedal.
Let me know if you want one, Zach.
Josh, do you have demos?
Wink, wink.
Do you have audio demos of this up on your Instagram or your webpage?
Not yet, because like it doesn't officially release till Thursday.
Okay, so
Oh, there we
right-
go. So
it's a
we're
very
getting
quiet
the
pedal.
exclusive.
I do have
view
one
of
though.
it.
I have it on the YouTube right now, but it's like unlisted.
Okay.
I don't want to like. I don't know what the rules are. You know, like I
Yeah.
don't want to prematurely put it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's out here right now that Thursday.
Thursday.
they'll be available.
Yeah, it'll be on Reverb and my website
Yeah.
or local.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
just hit me up.
I'll order one from you, but you got to sign it.
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, that's cool.
And then we'll take it downstairs, and clear coat it, so the signature stays.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's it.
You know, by me signing it though, it's probably going to degrade the value.
Well, yeah. I don't do anything for money.
You never know.
What do we got here? I would definitely yes.
Zach has bought a couple pedals for me, and I set up a couple of his guitars. He's got a couple of really nice Firebirds,
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Very cool.
right? Is that
Good
right, Zach?
choice.
You had the Firebirds, right? Yeah, you got like 2 of them.
I've
My
always-
memory,
I've always
here's
liked
also my
Firebirds.
memory's awful, because I don't know, in a year and a half I set up like 300 guitars.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
it's like
How do you keep it straight?
sometimes well, you know how it is. A customer
Yeah,
might not come
yeah.
back for a year,
Right.
and you're like, oh,
What was that one? Yeah.
and you're like, oh, remember when you set up my blah blah blah? I was like,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
Why not? Yeah.
I gotta like look back to my Instagram and I take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Like, you can only remember so much.
I got no. That's for real. I've got one customer though. It'll be interesting to see if I forget, but he brings in like the most unique guitars. Like it's not like nothing is I don't want to use.
Well,
the
those
word
are easy to
normal.
remember though. If
Yeah,
it's really
yeah,
unique, right?
like one is a telly that I think it's like a parts telly. Like I think the parts came from all over the country and it got assembled and it's just wild. Like I wanted it. I fixed it up and I just wanted to keep it.
Yeah, he's got a Gibson and Epiphone Firebird.
Nice. I've always loved the Firebirds. Like I said earlier, I played an Explorer,
Yeah,
but Firebird's similar body.
they got a similar feel for sure.
Yeah.
The pickups are different for sure.
Yes.
That's what makes the
Yeah.
Firebird a little separates.
Yeah,
those
for
pickups.
sure. And they make killer basses too.
Oh, and
I
then
love
I
the
think
Firebird bass.
Zach's got one with the trem bar too.
Oh wow.
He's got the mini humbuckers, if I recall, with the trem bar. So that's unique.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I'm thinking correctly. There's one time this guy brought in pedals I never even heard of, but they quickly. Oh, the Oneater Drive or Wonder Drive. You guys ever watch that thing you do?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Oneaters.
The Oneaters, yeah.
So I sell
Yes.
pedals from a guy in Michigan.
Yeah.
He calls it Wonder Effects.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a Wonder Drive.
Mhm.
It's the best overdrive fuzz pedal I ever played in my life.
Really?
All right.
And
Mhm.
it's not that popular, but everyone I've sold it to loves it.
Yeah,
That's what
Zach,
his thoughts
I,
are.
Yeah.
I
We'll
totally
have to
agree,
check
man.
that
Your
out.
your comment about him turning you on to pedals you've never heard of. We were sitting here for about 20 minutes
I got
before
pedals
the
on my shirt.
Yeah.
before the broadcast started, and like I've never sat in a room with somebody with as much pedal knowledge. Well, I mean, I probably have, but just didn't know it. But it's been wild. Like, and I have a feeling I will learn more.
Well, and there's so many
Yeah.
pedals
Yeah, and
out
there's-
there
yeah.
nowadays.
And there's
Yeah.
like ones I don't even know about.
Yeah.
There's a lot. But I think that makes it even more fun because there's always like
Yeah.
something to discover.
Yeah. We got a buddy in Port Angeles that he's always posting about new pedals.
Oh, you should hook me up
Just-
with his page. He's not posting on
Wow.
his page or something?
Yeah, it's my buddy John. He's runs Little Devil's Lunchbox up in Port Angeles, and he's in his band is now called Acosta. Used to be
Acosta?
TP Creeper. Before that, it was 3D or The Hunt, 3D
Mhm.
Witch Hunt, Sky Blue Waters. Like they've all kind of morphed
Yeah.
throughout the years with different band members, and he's kind of the guy that's been in all of them.
Well, if he's got a page, I'd definitely like to follow it.
Yeah, I mean, I would check out Acosta band and Little Devil's Lunchbox. It's a like a Mexican fusion, like a Mexican barbecue kind of place. He smokes his own shit in the back of
Nice.
the restaurant,
That's
and
cool.
then makes burritos and
Sounds
stuff.
good.
And he's built a stage in there, so he has bands. He had Matt Pike and the Automaton come out and played earlier this summer. His band plays obviously there. Lou Barlow has played there.
Cool.
So
Nice.
if you're up in Port Angeles, check them out. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, if he's like
he's got some cool
yeah,
pedals.
I'm
and-
always
and
interested
stuff.
in.
And he's
Yeah.
got some cool guitar stuff that he's done. He put
Yeah.
some Lawlers into one of his guitars and changed out the neck with the aluminum neck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
So
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Lawlers.
Stone Rock is kind
Oh.
of his big thing. So,
I guess I
you
could see that with they kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of Lawler, though, we got like one of the best pickup makers like right here in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea until I moved here. Like I heard of Lawler, and I had no idea they were in Tacoma. And then I never actually like owned any of their pickups. And then I started trying out all the different Jazzmaster ones.
Mhm.
Like I've tried like Curtis Novak and Curtis Navax. Awesome. Seymour Duncan's alright. I like DeMarzio more than Seymour Duncan,
Yeah.
honestly.
So
like, there's-
kind of overspread, like they
Yeah.
kind of used up almost. You know?
Who's other ones? There's some one overseas in the UK. I mean, there's some in Canada. I think Lawler is like. I know you're paying a premium, but you get what you pay for with Lawler.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because like, you know, I got to deal with them as a dealer or anything. But like, I wanted to be a dealer because I was so blown away
Yeah.
by their pickups and the way they operate too. They're still small and like personable. So
So you are a dealer of Lawlers now?
yeah,
as
like
well?
not like a big one. Like I order some and I usually use them for builds. So I
Mhm.
don't really like sell them online.
Right.
I have like a build relationship with them.
Very cool.
But like, if you guys are ever looking for Lawlers, like check out their website. I think
Yeah,
they're really
yeah.
good pickups.
So Zach was mentioning that yes, the Epiphone is the red 63 reissue with the whammy and all the nice looking hardware, etc. And Did not know that Lawler was in Washington. I also didn't. I've
They're like
recently learned about Lawler.
yeah, I don't know why it's so hard to miss, because I didn't realize it. They're 2 blocks away from the Tacoma Dome,
Really?
and like in their shop right there. And I got a tour one time. And they got a great showroom in the back, and you get to see where all their pickups are made, and they're like very organized.
That's awesome.
They have like a guitar with every pickup in it for you to try
Yes.
on the walls. There's like
So
20 of them.
That's why they were a sponsor of the Tacoma Guitar and Drum Show.
Oh yeah,
I picked up. I mean, that was when you walk in, you get the Lawler book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they're
So,
like
yeah,
they're
I
definitely
like
like they're definitely big time, but they still have that like the small company
Yeah.
feel.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's really cool.
But like, I went in there one time, and not even it was before I even started Audiomanic. I went in there because I sold one of their project managers an amp.
Oh,
Like I had on Craigslist, and I
Yeah.
lived in Tacoma at that time. And
Yeah.
I lived like right up the hill off of Portland Ave.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I go in there and like sell the amp, and he's like, "Hey, while you're here, you want to like check out some pickups?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, of course I do.
So
Yeah.
he's like, "Here's our 1959 Jazzmaster that we found in the back of a Cadillac trunk, that we modeled our pickups after." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to play that."
Yeah.
Oh man.
You pick your draw off,
Yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah.
floor,
Yeah.
and
Like someone found it in the back of an old beat up car,
that's crazy.
and then they wire their, not those, they got vintage spec ones
Mm-hmm.
that are based on the ones that they found in the trunk.
Who finds a
I
59
don't know.
LP in the back?
I know there's another guy I know who found a '63 Jazzmaster at an estate sale. Like he went through the whole house, and then like he was leaving it. You know, a lot of times they make you go through the house and you like leave through the garage, and then
Right.
people like are there to check you out. And he's like, "Oh, what's that case up there on the shelf?" And then like the old lady's like, "Oh, that was my husband's guitar." And it opens like a pristine '63 Jazzmaster worth like 10 grand. I don't know how he got it for. He probably got a slamming deal on it, but like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in those kind of circumstances
hard
don't
to-
know what they have.
Yeah.
But now, in today's world, it's harder because you can just go on eBay, you can
Yeah.
just go on Reverb, and
Yeah.
like get a decent idea really quick on the value of a
Yeah.
guitar.
Mhm.
You know, so which is good for the people that are selling it, obviously. You
Yeah.
know, like especially older folks that can be taken advantage of. But like, how rare that is for someone to find that guitar
Yeah.
in that garage.
Yeah, just the experience of finding it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Zach. So they're in Tacoma. I don't know if we said that. We probably did, but yeah.
So, if someone is interested in a build or repair or get in touch with you to discuss other options, what's your contact?
You can just email me at audiomanicguitar@gmail.com. Or you can go to audiomanic.org.
Mac.org.
Yeah. But, I kind of just focus on the offsets.
Yeah.
I could do a Strat. I only like to build stuff I like doing.
Yeah.
Nothing
Like-
wrong with that.
Like, if I was doing it full time, then I would probably expand it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'll build you a Telly, I'll build you a Les Paul, whatever. But like, I'm not making bodies like you are. Like, that's a whole nother level. Like, you're doing the woodwork.
Yeah.
That's carpentry, man. I haven't touched on that yet.
It's
Is that public knowledge yet? Is that,
it's a li- no,
Oh,
no, no,
sorry,
no, no,
I-
no, 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 no,
no.
It is because I've been
I wasn't
because the thing that's not public knowledge is what we kind of started leaking earlier on, which is if you popped onto the Instagram and you saw that I finally came home with, okay, so follow the breadcrumbs backwards. As I started building guitars, I wanted to have an Enduring Guitar Works body shape.
Oh, okay, cool.
That I wanted it to be traditional enough to be appealing to those that were traditionalists, but be a little more radical, but not so radical that you're like, whoa. So it kind of sits in the retro vein. And when we interviewed Los Ocupados on our first live band show, we found out that Brad, the bass player, also, among many of his talents, also enjoys running a CNC machine. And I reached out to him and I said, look, I've finally drawn this, but I don't know how to translate my drawing to actual dimensions. And he said, no problem, hand it over. So we worked with Brad, and today I picked up the CNC'd MDF template of the guitar that I will now be producing one of a kind.
That's cool.
It's my, it's not a copy of anything. It's
Yeah.
if the shape sucks, it's my fault. If the shape is awesome, then cool. But no, it's public knowledge. I just haven't produced the first one of them
You
yet.
got to make a
so.
prototype and see how it turns
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah. So we have this giant slab of. I went into the local hardware store because I realized we made it a little bit long, so I couldn't get a blank. I needed to get something a little longer than a traditional blank. And I found this giant slab of African Paducah. And it's heavy as hell, but it's gorgeous. And now I have to figure out how to make it handleable because it's heavy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you'll see it in a few minutes when we go check
Yeah,
out
I'll
the
check it
shop.
out. Check it
Check
out.
out the shop.
Yeah. Anyway.
I get bodies from, if I'm going to do like a custom build,
Yeah.
I get bodies from MJT, you know
Yeah.
them?
Yep.
So they give me like a little break for
Cool.
being like a dealer.
Yeah.
And then like I'll source a bunch of fender necks from various places. And like a lot of times I'll get fender necks made in China.
Yeah.
The Modern Player series
Mhm.
made in China.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them because it's still a C radius
Mm-hmm.
shape, but it's thin. And I like the thin
Yeah.
necks because
Yeah.
they play faster. And they're rosewood. And you can get them
Right.
relatively cheap. What usually the problem is they're usually reject necks. There's like like there might be a screw hole somewhere
Mhm.
else that they messed up, or like there's a dig in the rosewood and they patched it.
Yeah.
But it's like very minor. Some
Yeah.
I've gotten ones from them, I can't even tell what's wrong with it. All the truss rods are great,
Yeah.
so it's nothing like major.
Yeah.
Like one maybe needed a couple spot checks on the frets
Mhm.
to be like level, but not a full level.
Yeah.
Just a couple here or there. So I do like doing the relic bodies because what I'll do is I'll get like a relic body from MJT,
Mhm.
but they're not cheap.
No.
Even with the discount, they're not cheap. And then I'll take a fender neck and I'll like relic it. I'll like sand it. I'll even take a little torch to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll sand it again.
I tried the torch, didn't work out.
I do it on I could have brought another one, but I do it on the edges,
Okay.
and then I sand it, and then I'll torch it again, sand it, use a different grit, and then sometimes I'll
So you're talking on the headstock?
yeah, I mean not this one, but I'll just like do the edges all
Yeah.
around so the clear coat comes off, and then it starts to burn a little bit, and then I sand it, and then I might put more oil on it,
Mm.
so then the oil soaks it up,
Yeah.
and I just kind of like mess around with it so it kind of matches the body,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then it feels like a nice guitar. So.
Wow.
But that will be like a higher end build because it's like the
Mhm.
body costs more and all that. So like
Yeah.
then you're talking about like a $1,600 guitar.
Yeah.
So, which I have sold a couple of those though. But
yeah.
but MJT is like, 16 weeks out for a body.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Jesus. Yeah, and is that it? I don't know. Do you know if it is that just supply chain? Is that?
I know they're busy. I know that like they got demand,
Yeah.
and I think that has something to do with probably the labor in the wood.
Mhm.
But I don't really know for sure. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it's
right
like,
now
oh, yeah.
everything is more expensive and
Yeah.
taking more time to get everything everywhere. Paper, you can't get reams of paper anymore. like it's weird. There's this supplies are just
Paper.
low. There's apparently issues with people not wanting to work, which I think that's a whole other issue altogether. Subject for another day. But,
We're an hour in. We're not talking about work.
Yeah, but no, I mean there's issues with the supply chain from
Yeah.
top to bottom
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
So it
Well, yeah,
makes sense.
lumber's expensive, right? So I'm
Mhm.
sure that trickles
Yes,
down,
sir.
right?
Yes.
So, but they do make cool stuff. I really like the work they do.
Right on.
Well, it's probably about that time.
It's getting to be about that
So
time.
I'm going to ask you that is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't covered? And if the answer is no, that's totally cool too. I want
I
to
don't-
give you a shot.
I don't think so. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I rambled a lot.
No, it's
That's what the show
it's
is
been a blast.
for,
Like,
is to get that
yeah.
information out. We like to hear the story.
I had a couple questions for you, but now I'm like blanking.
that always happens to me.
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, so like, I want to have a shop someday, like a storefront,
Yeah.
but like, still be appointment only.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like, have the repair shop there, a little storefront to have like the used guitars,
Mhm.
to build some amps, and then like a cases for pedals.
Yeah.
But like have limited hours.
Yep.
hmm
I'm sure you thought about it
Mm-hmm.
because you're out here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
Being a little farther. Leasing space in Olympia is not cheap,
No.
No.
even for the smallest things. If it's got a storefront, forget about it.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your opinion on running a business long term from your home? Like, what challenges do you have? I wonder if they're the same challenges I have.
So no, I can totally be transparent on that. I mean, there's a few things in this conversation that I'm not gonna address publicly, but I'll talk to
Right.
you about. But absolutely. So I'm running the studio, the electronic part of the business from here. This is where lessons take place. This is where content takes place. This is where broadcasting takes place. And then directly below us, that's where I'm running. That's where things are getting built and fixed.
Mm-hmm.
The first problem that I was running into, well, in addition to, like, how do I fit this into my day job, which isn't an issue now, but was I was actually, I started counting how much time I was wasting waiting for my customer to show up. Sick part, like,
Oh,
the saying and stuff could still be done off-site,
yeah.
but it might actually be cool for people to see, if there was somebody up front watching the door, helping people.
And they get to
But they
meet
could
the
still-
person who's
they
doing the
still get to
setup on
meet
their
the
guitar.
seat, but they could still see through a panel and see, like,
Yeah.
oh, right now he's routing out pickup pockets on a.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a hybrid model idea, and I'm still playing with how to do it. But yeah, absolutely, a storefront or a hybrid storefront shop is absolutely something I want to pull off.
Me too.
Yeah,
I feel like people.
we should talk.
I know. You could do a
Partnership opportunity.
I feel like a lot of customers have mentioned to me that the value in meeting the person
Yeah.
that's working on your guitar, like, and I feel like that's lost in automotive. You used to meet the person that worked on your car.
Yeah.
It's like your baby or whatever, especially if you're really attached to your vehicle. So it's the same thing with a guitar, and I feel like the shops in town and outside, they lack that. Sometimes you never meet the person that touches your guitar, so there's no relationship.
Yeah.
There's no accountability in a way too. Oh, something's wrong with my guitar. I really wanted this instead of that, and then the salesperson's there and says, "Oh, I don't know. The notes say
Yep.
this is what they did. I can leave a message for them and then get back to you." And then another week goes by. Yada yada yada.
You're saying the exact same
Yeah.
things that I'm hearing, and without pointing fingers, naming names. When people come to me, they say very specifically, "You're having a conversation with me, and you're listening to what I have to say, and you're hearing what I want to do."
And you're getting to know a person too.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's important too.
You're building that relationship,
totally
creating
important.
that
Yeah.
Well, I think.
potential customer for long term, not just for the one.
Yeah, I'm interested when someone drops off a guitar. I'm interested, like, hey, where'd you get it? What's the story behind it?
Yep.
What are you doing with it? Are you playing
Yeah.
gigs with it? Are you recording? Are you just playing at home?
Yeah.
Or are you doing live streaming? Are you doing like I want to know how they're using it, so maybe like in some way or shape or form, it's gonna help me do my job better for them.
Yeah.
So, but if you have that disconnect, no one's gonna ask those questions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
when I think about the music shop that I went to, and I will always, I grew up in Renton, Washington, and, when I was first figuring out that I was going to be a guitar player, I strayed into, well, it was Musician's Friend, and then there was American Music, and there was Auburn Music, and there were all these sorts, but there was A-sharp Music, and it was right by where the IKEA is up there now. And they, after 30 years of business, they, Brian and I went there on almost their last day a year ago. They finally closed their doors. It made sense. It was really sad. But I had a relationship with those guys, every single person in that store, and it wasn't because they were the cheapest store in town. It was a small business. They were employing like 5 people, and you paid a little bit more, but you absolutely knew, like, that guy was going to take care of you. This was the person who did that. This is the person who did this. This person was your resource for anything you wanted to know about this. Like, it was a guitar shop. It was a guitar maintenance facility. It was an after-school hangout. It was a freaking encyclopedia of anything you'd ever want to know. If you want to...
It was a community.
It was a community. It was like, that's where we went to get better at everything. And that's not something that's like that's my goal. Like,
that does not exist.
That. Yeah.
In 60-mile radius of where we live.
Well, I guess it's my goal to change that. You know.
Yeah, that'd be a great goal.
Yeah.
There's a
But-
couple shops in Seattle that have that. Well, Seattle's so big, it's a
Yeah.
big city, but they have elements of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. In Colorado, there was a couple places that had elements of that too, but yeah, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's hard to find.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm sure that they existed. It's hard to make money. It's hard to stay alive.
It is.
It is.
You got to be doing a lot of business to
Yeah.
meet ends meet.
Yeah,
Well,
they-
and that's part of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
What the
Mhm.
show's about is building that community. So hopefully we can kind of
This town needs it.
get back to that.
Yeah.
This town needs it. Olympia needs it.
You gotta have people run on a store that, honest to God, care as much about how their customer sounds on stage or in their bedroom or on Instagram as they do themselves.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, and you have to have experience in that too,
Yeah.
so you can understand it. I understand though it's an industry that you can get jaded in real quick though
Yep.
too. So
Yep.
I feel like sometimes you meet people in shops and it didn't go so well for them and it rubs off with their customer service or their and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But I've also met people, I say mentor. I think there's a technical definition of mentor. I'm not sure that he was a mentor. I think he was, but the guy who managed the A Sharp, his name is Lyle Long. He lives in Colorado right now.
okay.
But this is a guy that has been a major part of my life since I was 14 years old. I haven't seen him face to face since, 2006 or so when he moved from Seattle down to Denver. But when I reached out to him a year ago and told him I was thinking about launching something, I didn't even have a clear definition of what it was that I was going to do yet. And I said, hey, could I talk to you for an hour to just run some ideas by you? And he said, absolutely. Schedule
Great.
a Zoom call with me. It's supposed to be a 45-minute call. It was a 4-hour call.
That's
We
great.
talked for 4 hours. So jaded or not, there are still people that can prove
totally.
that we exist. We're
Mhm.
there. It just takes a certain person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zach agreed, I believe, with the community idea and
Yeah.
the building of the community and having that
Yeah.
kind of a
Mhm.
show. So
Yeah.
thank you, Zach.
And if you're in the Colorado area, check out Lyle Long. He's now pretty much doing just private guitar instruction, and he's also a distributor of. He works with Grosh Guitars, Don Grosh, and they'll hook you up if you're looking for an amazing retro classic guitar.
Right on.
But
I used to do setups at a mom and pop shop.
yeah,
They called it restrains, and they charged like $25. But the owner of the shop would just be like, "Oh no, just put them in the corner and do it when we're slow."
mm-hmm.
And it'd be like 2-3 weeks go by, and these are just like basic restrains.
Just waiting for strings.
Yeah. So when it was slow, I would pound them out
Yeah.
and get through them, but I would actually there'd be a lot of strats, right? So
Yeah.
I'd fix the trim. I do like a full
Yeah.
setup. I would do the
Where's
intonation,
the money?
and then I do all this. I do the saddle, and people would be getting these guitars back and be like, "Oh my god, this restring is great. What did you do?" And then I tell her, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm doing what's needed done." She's like, "No, don't do that.
You're losing us money.
Like we need to
Yeah.
make money doing yada yada or whatever." And I'm like, but yeah, but the guitar needs it. I mean,
Yeah, like if
Needs it.
I'm restringing a guitar, like if you pay me this much to do to intonate your guitar, but it's coming in for a restring, and one of them is so far out that this guitar can't play in tune,
you gotta do something.
I gotta fix. I
Yeah.
can't let it go out the door like that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I'm gonna go out of business because I decided to turn a Phillips screwdriver a couple degrees so the guitar could now play in tune.
Yeah, I mean,
Go the extra mile, man.
Yeah.
Go 2.
Well, you might just win yourself a lifelong
Yeah. Yeah.
client, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Well, I don't think she understood that part.
Nope.
But her,
They still in business?
I don't think so. She inherited. They had like 5 stores from her parents, and then they passed, and then she took it on. And she definitely was like a businesswoman, but
Mhm.
no sensibility with music. And
Yeah.
I feel like if she had a partner that was like that had that, and realized like, hey, you can help your store stay open if you focus more on repairs. Because really, like, lessons kept that place open.
Yeah.
Lessons and like school year band rentals.
Yeah.
That was like kept it open. And-
Mills music.
And the inventory got worse and worse as the
Yeah.
years went on. But I was like, if you focus more on repairs, you could definitely bring in, you know, more money, help your store.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the focus. So.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's important to remember that, like, if you're focusing on a repair, that I think you said something that I don't know if everyone picked up on, but if they're not music savvy and they're still trying to, like, they might have all the good business sense and they might even have all the good, like, think that they're serving the customer, but you're not sharpening a chain on a chainsaw. You're changing strings on an instrument.
Right.
There is one notch. You gotta go a step beyond just do the job. You know,
Right. So
I don't. It's, and if you're not a musician, if you haven't picked up a guitar, and you don't understand,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I
a
guess,
soft. It's a soft
yeah.
skill. I guess,
Well, then I guess
right?
you charge more because I guess what her
know.
point was is that, you know, they're only paying for the restring.
Yeah.
factor,
Well,
but-
what good does that do?
But
right?
we didn't even offer setups, so it's
Yeah.
like it was
Oh.
you know
Yeah.
like I was just doing it because I wanted to do it.
I didn't realize that you weren't actually offering setups.
No, it was.
So it's like,
they
here,
were
put the strings
really-
on, go away.
We really didn't do repairs. Like anything super repair worthy, it was usually like band instruments she would send out to her.
Oh,
You know,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well,
Well, Josh, I think we're gonna. Yeah, hour and a half.
yeah, hour
Time
and
to
a half.
wrap.
Good job. We'll
We talked a lot.
No, it's
contact
good. It's
information one more
fantastic.
time, and then we'll also put that into the post as well.
Yeah.
So,
So Audiomanic guitar at Gmail.
Yep.
Or audiomanic.org, and there's a link there. You can always, you know,
All right.
Instagram is at Audiomanic Josh.
Yep.
Any of those avenues, I'll answer.
All right.
And Zach Olson, you got the hat. So
If you could just get a pair of strings for me, you keep those.
I think right on. I think these comments disappear after the live goes off. So hit me up on Instagram, shoot me a DM, give me your address, and we'll send you a hat.
And thanks for watching.
Fretless Rockmore.
See you guys.